this is something I could see myself and my family in pretty easy, actually. Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Jayco on a beautiful day today, getting you some footage of this new 245J flight. If you scroll back far enough on this channel, you'll find a 242BHS J flight, kind of this one's predecessor. They put it on the shelf for a little bit, they let it grow up and mature, and this is what it grew into, and I kind of like it. Now we got a lawnmower coming in, so hopefully that doesn't eat up the microphone, but I'm about to eat some grass clippings off camera that you can't see. You don't care though. What they did here is I think they fixed the, quote, problems the 242 had. This is no longer a 90-degree neck-wrecker entertainment. If you choose to add a TV, it's straight across from the seating, albeit a U-dinette. I don't know if they offer any sofa swaptions at the time I'm recording this. It's a new model. I don't have the full details quite there. But it's a private true queen bed, not a short princess queen or anything like that. Princess queen. There's those grass clippings I was talking about. Anyway, and it's a pair of central sliding doors into the bedroom that make the whole RV look and feel bigger. Now on top of that, being a J-Flight, you have a 6'9" ceiling, so a little more spacious inside. It's a rack and pinion floor flush slide that also includes a massive chunk of storage, making this camper look and feel quite comfortable and spacious, you know. The double bunks have a 600-pound rating. This is all J flights are basically built at the basic SLX level, but they have, I think it's called like the Elite package or something like that, where if you want to juice it up a little bit, you have that opportunity as well. Now, the RV has good qualities. It maybe has some things you might not like. I want to try to share both sides of that equation, and if you appreciate how we're fair with you like that, hit that subscribe button. Let's get in there. So to get your bearings, we're standing in the bedroom on the driver's side, looking over toward the campsite, toward the door, as you can see right here. I'm going to give you kind of a little bit of a look around before we get dove into everything. I also want to mention the audio on this video might be obnoxious, and it might have just gotten a whole lot quieter all of a sudden, because this RV is actually plugged into full shore power. So I have an opportunity to do something I don't normally do. I've got the air conditioner running. I've got it set to about 78 in here. It's about 84 outside, or 68 in here. It's 84 outside. It's doing just fine, keeping up. Obviously, it's able to take a break. The thing is, it's a loud air conditioner. You can hear it right away. I'm not a person who's super offended by AC noise, but I know some people are very sensitive to it. So if that makes watching this video too irritating to stand, I think it's safe to say you probably wouldn't like the ownership of this experience over a long-term period. So want to just kind of put that out there. I like all the little toe kicks they're doing more and more around stuff, although they didn't do one directly in front of the sink, which would have been a very key place to put it. This was always one of the problems with the predecessor 242 model. The 242 had a 90-degree look to the left neck crank entertainment center. This one puts the entertainment straight across from the seating. Now, it is only a U-dinette, and there's a lot of people, like Mr. Steve Z, who comments all the time. Appreciate you, by the way, Steve. He's always saying, man, this floor plan offers nothing but an uncomfortable Denny's diner, 1950s Denny's diner to sit at, and they expect you to sit there and watch TV. I don't know that this is a TV-focused floor plan. I think it's a floor plan that has the opportunity to include an entertainment center. Now, I think it is reasonable somewhat to say that, well, we've lost a little storage behind that, but hang out with me here. When you see all the storage that's in the slide, I don't know that you'll feel the same. I think they actually managed to make it okay. Now that in these flights here, you might notice how they added a little drawer below the fridge. That's because that's an 8 cubic foot fridge, technically 7.7 cubic foot, but what's generally called in the industry as an 8 cube fridge. And it's a basic kitchenette, but it's a full kitchen complement where we have a stove and oven and microwave, and actually a heat exhausting stovetop vent hood that not every RV has. Now, does it have the fancy side splashes that we would all love? No, but that's just not at all in the budget of this. And frankly, almost no builder does that. Not that they shouldn't, they just don't tend to, you know. This is a rack and pinion floor flush slide. And by default, we have this big U-dinette over here. But because it is a floor flush slide, that makes me question if there would be opportunities here for things like a theater seat or a hide-a-bed. So let me ask you folks, well, there's that air conditioner kicking in. I told you, you're gonna know it. What seating setup would you prefer here? So right now, obviously, this is what I call true U-dinette, where it's like closer to 7 foot wide or long or whatever dimension you want to call that, which means it might be able to actually fit a 3-seat party recliner, but that means that you wouldn't have necessarily a dedicated table. And you could fit a hide-a-bed in there, but chances are there'd be some open dead pockets on the sides of it. What would you kind of prefer to see on this thing? I'd be sort of curious. But this is what I was talking about over here. Yeah, we don't have storage like behind the TV area, which would be nice. But this is some pretty serious storage. Frankly, my only concern with this is that it's so deep, it might be kind of hard to get to all of it. Thankfully, instead of making you crawl on your hands and knees, they gave you some big full extension drawers down below here. So they made that a little simpler and easier to access. Spinning our way around here. Now, when you go from the 10 to the 8 cubic foot fridge freezer, mostly what you shave down is the freezer section. The refrigerator isn't touched as much, slightly, but it's mostly left alone. That does mean, though, we do pick up a bonus drawer there, and we do have a space for at least a small wastebasket down here now, something I'm curious about. The most basic Jayco trailer, how are they doing their plumbing? And I'm not seeing any flex on PEX kind of stuff, where you see the steel braided stuff. Those are purpose-made steel braided lines that hook directly into PEX connections. So even at their most basic, it looks like they're doing the job, better than many out there still. Plywood drawers to the floor. The top is not a full drawer, it's just a sponge drawer. It's sponge worthy, I guess. But that's because it would conflict with the sink. So they made it do what they could. Now, this doesn't have a ton of counter space. Just being fair, I like to tell you the good with the bad. So they put a couple outlets there to kind of make it as useful as they could. And this tall space right here, I'm not sure what you would necessarily do with that. I don't know, maybe you have, well, because of the microwave plug, it kind of gets in the way of stuff. It's just a tricky, awkward vertical space. What would you slide in there? Some cereal boxes, maybe? Now, remembering this RV has a little bit taller ceiling, it means each bunk is about 1.5 inches more spacious, which doesn't sound like a ton, but get in the campers in person and like you look at it, you're like, huh, yeah, I see that. Now, they don't give you a ladder specifically. They give a little handhold here, and the kids, I guess, are gonna Donkey Kong monkey climb their way up this thing. Both bunks have a couple USB plugs. You might notice the top bunk doesn't have any sort of window coverage, only a fire escape window down below. These are 600-pound rated bunks, though. Oh, I'm sorry, the bottom bunks are not USBs, they are household. And this RV does not have the opportunity for one of those ludicrous move bunk, get out the way cargo doors, because behind that wooden wall right there is actually your water heater. So it's very difficult to load a kayak through a water heater due to physics. And this bathroom door wants to swing shut on me, so I'm doing the toe tap method over here. I do want to point out, though, that it does have a lock to give you a little bit of privacy. It's a basic camper. We got a plastic toilet. I think the Elite package might bump that up to porcelain. I cannot recall the full details of the Elite package, but the space around the toilet wasn't terrible. Wasn't terrible by any means. Now, over here on the left-hand side, let me get the camera in and around this corner, you have a shallow series of open-face linen pockets. It's not my favorite arrangement, but for just shoving towels in there, wow, man, that makes a crazy difference when that air kicks off. Oh. It's like one of those, you don't even realize how much noise it's making till it turns off. But for towels, it'll be fine. Up top here, this is one of the reasons I like Jayco J-Flights. I've spent most of my adult life with my family camping in Jayco stick and tin brand products, partially because I just like the extra headroom. Now, the model I've usually camped in, the 26BH or 260BH, whatever it's been called over the years, it's got a short bed. This having a True Queen, I like a lot more. And that's a big shower, but it's a bit of a shub. If you want to make it a little bit of a tub space, you could definitely do something like that. Another little thing, I got my wish. For years, the J Flights, the SLXs, which these are all SLX by default before you upgrade them, they had just a mirror glued to the wall. And it's nice to see an actual medicine cabinet in here, just the tiniest thing that makes a big difference to me. All right, making our way out. Now, by the way, I should mention this. This looks like a non-ducted air conditioner. It does directly dump some air into this cavity, but it does still have central ducting. So your bathroom, your bedroom, they are still getting airflow. If I don't point that out, someone's going to, I think, reasonably make an assumption that would be unfortunately incorrect. Now, I mentioned how this is a larger True U dinette. One of the cool things is that can fold down into a bigger sleeper. But if you're in a pinch on a rainy day, you could pop the table out and use it kind of like a lounge. Now, it is not as comfortable as a sofa. It's not. There is storage below that. They don't necessarily give you like access doors and stuff. You have to kind of take it apart. So you're not going to put your everyday stuff down there. And when you do it like this, when you put it in lounge mode, again, it does just help you get through those inclement weather times, and that's where adding a TV to this thing feels like it would be, more beneficial. Up front here, I went and grabbed a tape measure. I was like, holy crap, I'm looking at this right. I figured this would have had a short queen bed. It does not. That is a 60 by 80 true queen that they put up here, and I am very glad to see that, because the industry right now is just chasing the lowest price tag possible, and they can save a couple bucks and a few inches by going shorter. I'm glad they didn't. And you might notice over on the left, a little bit of hanging space. On the right, some dresser space. This is kind of a wide open side stand thing, so very comfortable if you're a side sleeper or a little bit claustrophobic. I was actually, again, very pleasantly surprised they included the struts to get to the easy lift storage under the bed. Being a more budget sensitive camper, I didn't quite expect it. Now, if you add the 200-watt solar package, that black sticker over there, that's where the charge controller is going to be located. Obviously, your TV has some side mount TV hookups. I don't suspect a lot of people are ever going to use those, but if an RV manufacturer doesn't include them, it seems to cheese off a bunch of people who are very vocal, and they just feel like, hey, I'm not going to mess with it. One other little thing I've noticed, I have no personal experience dealing with this, but just listening to people who comment regularly, that digital thermostat over there on the wall, it gets covered by the slide. And some high mileage travelers have advised me that can make it not work as well with the heating and cooling system at a travel stop. Now, I've obviously closed the big rack and pinion super slide, as you can see over here. But one of the cool things on this model, they didn't go with a full-on peninsula counter, which does give you more functional prep space as compared to the kind of extended 45-degree counter that they went with here. But this does allow you to travel through. So I can get to all my bunks, all my kitchen, all my storage. You can get to the bathroom, all without ever stopping to open a slide out, which for some people is an absolute game changer and or necessity. So I always like to take the time, showcase the road mode for you. And when my flat landing Midwestern eyes look at the length and the weights on this thing, my half-ton alarms start going off. Where I live, a tow package half-ton will probably handle this thing pretty darn readily. Now, if you live up in the Rocky Mountains or something, you might want to step it up a little bit, but it is, I think, surprisingly light and manageable from how big it feels inside. I was expecting it to weigh a heck of a lot more than it does, and that's not I'm not unhappily surprised by this. So working our way up front here, like a lot of your J flights, you have a very solid front pass-through compartment. They give you the bigger baggage door on both sides, and that makes accessing this more simple, easy, effective, convenient, whatever words you want to apply. In case you're curious, like, what is that wire? What is that plastic thing up there? That is a basic level of inverter prep. I think these have like 2, 3 outlets that could be powered by an inverter, and that's essentially where you'd install an inverter in that area. Because of that camp kitchenette door and the front baggage compartment, they couldn't put a much bigger awning on it. They did about the best they could. It's not a massive awning. I don't think it's insufficient, but it's I don't know. It feels like it's enough for a weekender, you know, and I think that's really the goal of this RV. I'll say I don't love the speakers being mounted practically on the roof, but I just wouldn't even worry about them. I'd get like a Bluetooth speaker and I'd use that down at my picnic table, but that's just me. Quick little note I look for is my dad's safety alarms start going off. You do have your furnace exhaust over here on the campsite of the RV. This being a bunkhouse, presumably there's probably littles running around. Make sure you either block this off and or tell them, no touch, hot. And just to get that, even if you're summertime, hot climate camping, just get them used to it, you know. I also think this is really smart. This is very similar to what we've been doing in our Wayfinder RV Go Play models right here, where instead of forcing some kind of cooker or griddle on you, it's just a fridge that's useful for almost everybody, and some storage and counter space and power outlets, all of which are typically useful for almost everybody. Now, on the back wall there's a little black circle between the water heater and the tail light. That's an outside cold water sprayer port. So you have a little bit of rinse function and everything going on here as well. The roof is walkable. It's only ladder prepped, however. There's also a propanus. It does have a gas grill quick connect that shoots the gas out the back side of the sucker. Basically, that's the yellow thing hanging down below that on-demand water heater. We are also backup camera prepped, and the taillights have reverse lighting elements on those. If you're backing into a campsite early morning, late night, those are very, very handy. Now, little details if you're a first-timer you might not even think about, but it has the cold water sprayer port and a full hot-cold outside utility shower and black tank flush and a single consolidated sewer outlet back here in the corner. All of these are things that people typically don't think about, but they are very useful here. Now, normally, by default, this does not have an enclosed belly. One thing I can tell you, at least at Bish's RV, we do tend to order these all with at least an enclosed belly. Sometimes that in the past that hasn't even been a normally available option, and we will basically custom order a big bundle of these things to get them to do it for us. Now, that doesn't magically turn this into some kind of 4 seasons RV experience. I'm not trying to be stupid about it. I'm just letting you know that our customers have told us they like that extra little protection and peace of mind, and we do the best we can to try to fulfill that. So you keep your input coming, and we'll keep doing our best to fulfill it. And I wasn't joking. When this video started, like, my family, we are a one and done household. We have one daughter, love her to death, and I could see this one working for my family. The longer bed, the taller ceiling, working very nicely for me. It's not so big that towing it around is super white knuckle intimidating. Plenty of storage for everybody. If my daughter wants to bring a friend, she's got a guest space. Like, I think this is a great camper. If you got 1 or 2 kids, this is a really solid option right here. I will leave you links, as I always do, in the video description to double check pricing and availability. And short of that, thanks again for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.